Nah, this ain't nonsense, this is non-fiction. So excuse if the content is offensive, it's official. Now that we have been acquainted, this is my pleasure, my pain, your entertainment.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Nonpfixion coming back at you one more time with a brand new reaction. I know we kind of been away for a little while, but like I told you guys in the community tab, those who were able to check it, you know, we've been trying to take care of some things, and we've only been able to stream a little bit here and there on Twitch or YouTube. So once again, we're here with a new video. We did a live stream last night for What If, which turned out really good. Met a lot of new people that came through. Appreciate you for all the subscriptions, all new follows, and all the bits and tips from both the multiple pages. So thank you so much for coming by. I truly appreciate you guys. Those who are new to the channel and you're still not sure, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, notification bell, join the Fiction fam, and let's get right to it. So this video right here, let me close that. And that. Okay. So this video is Marvel's What If Episode 8 breakdown and the ending explained, spoiler review, Easter egg, and Ultron theories from Heavy Spoilers. So Heavy Spoilers, of course, you know, we use them and a few other channels that give us great breakdowns of these Marvel What If episodes and series, and I want to do this one because this is one of the first ones that pop up, but I have been the last couple ones they've done. I have like how detailed they've been and how, you know, pretty good on breaking down some of the information, and it makes sense. It's not like this random theory that none of us believe is going to ever come true. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, we're going to get right into it, and let's go. Make sure the volume's okay, and let's go.
Episode 8 of What If is now out, and the penultimate entry is filled with Easter eggs, hidden details, and things you missed. In this breakdown, we're going to be giving a big recap of the entire thing before going into what could be happening in the finale next week. Now, what is a spoiler-free
This finale could be crazy,
if not just a spoiler-free one persevering? I really don't know, but if you haven't had a chance to check out the episode, then I suggest you check out now. Make sure you like the video, and also
if you haven't seen it, that's your warning now. That's your warning. If you have not seen the most recent episode, this is your warning.
Clicking this. Now let's get into What If Episode 8. Okay, so last week's episode ended with the biggest party pooper of them all arriving on the scene. Ultron had entered Party Thor's universe, and with him he brought not only his Iron Legion of Ultron bots, but also the Infinity Stones and Vision's face. I forgot to point out last time that the way the mask opened up was clearly a nod to Tony Stark's Iron Man 1 in reverse. Tony of course helped to build Ultron in the MCU, and because of this, the Murder Bot took on several of his personality traits. These included his speech patterns and sayings, and one of them even triggered Claw into realizing who made him. However, it actually went far beyond that, and in the movie, both the characters struggled over the word children.
Invaders create Avengers. People create smaller people? Children. I lost the word there.
Hey, buddy. How you guys doing?
These are smaller agents.
I absolutely love
Smaller
this detail, and the episode should sort of be seen as Vision's revenge for all those times that he died, which was a lot. It was a lot, to be fair.
Yeah.
Now, the episode basically reframes Avengers Age of Ultron, and it asks us what would have happened had Ultron won. In the film, he attempted to shift his consciousness into Vision's body, and had he achieved this, then the character would have been almost indestructible.
Pretty much,
there are
yeah.
several callbacks to that film, there's also some nods to WandaVision and other movies involving killer machines. When Ultron awakens in Vision's body, the shot is actually set up to look very similar to when Hayward activated White Vision at the end of WandaVision Episode 8. Beyond that, I got a lot of Terminator vibes, and that franchise is of course about an AI that ends up going rogue, and it destroys all of humanity. When the nukes are firing, we can catch several shots, including a farm in which the weapons are launched close to, as well as the planetary space as the explosions go off.
That's a good catch. I didn't even think about that. It looks very similar to Terminator 3.
I think it might be a callback to that. Now, the episode as a whole is also basically taking the concept of the original Age of Ultron comic and going completely wild with it, in that Ultron destroyed the world and the heroes had to band together in order to stop him. Characters like Hawkeye even retreated to bunkers, and they fought on the landscape of a destroyed planet, which included locations like New York and San Francisco. Unlike the episode, Wolverine ended up going back in time and stopping things, but I really feel like they gave us the Age of Ultron that we as fans wanted. The movie was very much in name only, and it's nice that they found a way to give fans of the book something that falls in line with what many of us thought the film would be about. Now we start off with the Watcher overlooking a completely devastated landscape covered in what likely is the fallout of nuclear winter. We see Natasha Romanoff racing in on her bike and also catch Clint with a metal arm similar to the Winter Soldier's. His arm was clearly taken from him in a tactical way so that he couldn't fire arrows, but he's managed to regain the ability due to the synthetic. This is a slight switch up from the comics, as in that when we joined Black Widow, she was with Moon Knight instead of Hawkeye. He, however, did open the series, so it's nice they've managed to keep the character structure somewhat similar. Nat is desperate to outrun the machines as they chase her through the city, and it's not too long before they pick up
I really
Hawkeye,
like those scenes right there in the beginning.
Stole an invisible cloak from Harry Potter. Hawkeye now has his Mohawk back, like he did between the snap and the blip in Avengers Endgame. This was at a time when he'd lost everything, including his family, so
Where'd
it's
they go?
nice that they brought it back because of the symbolism it carries. Now at the time, I came up with a bloody great nickname for him, and that was Mohawkeye, but it never caught on. However, I'm bringing it back and calling myself an underappreciated genius because Mohawkeye is absolutely amazing. And you better like that. You better like the bloody video, I tell you. The fight scene is extremely similar to his work
Yes,
against the Chitauri
like the
in the
video.
Avengers, and it's easily the best opening of the series for me. The Ultron bots leave Hawkeye looking pretty armless, but you have to hand it to him, the guy does some great falling with style. Throughout the scene, Widow mentions the hive mind, and this is also somewhat a nod to the original graphic novel, in that our heroes learned that Ultron had actually travelled into the future, and that he was using Vision's body as a conduit in the past to make sure that they had no chance of winning. Because Vision came from Ultron, it granted him the ability to possess him, and the episode somewhat does something similar with the MCU counterpart. Now it turns out that the pair have gone to the Kremlin, which Natasha refers to as home. Black Widow is of course Russian, and this infamous location is of course in Moscow. We then cut to the past and see Tony saying that he sees a suit of armor around the world whilst looking over Loki's scepter. This of course contained the Mind Stone, and it allowed Tony to create what he believed was a peacekeeping program. Tony did a full U-turn on his original ideology, as you might remember that he initially said he'd be out of the job with peace. However, this changed over the series, and upon leaving the cave, the first thing he did was hold up a peace sign.
Yeah, peace sign.
In the Senate, he held up two, and upon burying the hatchet with Captain America, he said he just wanted peace. The idea to create peace in our time made him build Ultron, which was of course his greatest failure. I think it says a lot about humanity that Ultron spent 30 seconds on the internet and just thought, you know what? These guys gotta go. Now in the intro, we get several shots.
I think
of
anybody
Ultron,
who spent 30 seconds on the internet would have the same feeling.
Around Vision's cradle unit, deciding what to do with it. However, in the multiverse, Ultron was able to upload successfully, and thus he was near unstoppable. Ultron went after the new codes and completely decimated the Avengers because of his new abilities. We catch a quick cut of Cap's shield completely destroyed on the floor, and this is something that was seen in Tony's vision at the start of Age of Ultron. We also catch similar iconography to this vision, including a slumped over Hulk and Mjolnir also on the ground. Now I believe that this is located at the Nexus Point, which we learned in that film was the central hub in which all information on the internet flowed through. This included the nuclear codes, which Ultron gets his hands on. General Ross looks over the entire destruction of the planet, and Nat and Clint only manage to survive because they're in a Quinjet when it happens. Now I've seen a couple of people asking why it's got a similar voice to James Spader and not Paul Bettany. Well, this is because that voice very much came from Jarvis, but as Ultron's the dominating personality here, this version ends up sticking with the original sound in the end. After bringing peace to the world, we watch as Thanos arrives on Earth in order to collect the Mind Stone. His entrance is very similar to how he appeared on Titan in Infinity War, but he doesn't really get the same welcome, and instead he's immediately cut down. Quite funny. In the wide shot, we can see that Ultron's now made his home at Avengers Tower, and in Age of Ultron, we saw as a Quinjet runway had been put in place to allow easier access for the Avengers. Vision destroys the gauntlet, and using what I believe are nano machines, he makes himself into a living one. This could be a nod to the comics, as in that Tony made a suit capable of holding the stones, but it could also be a reach. Now, because of his newfound gifts, he's able to alter reality and create as many Ultron sentries as he wants. It's at this point that he manifests a red cape, and though he had one as the Vision, this could be a nod to the scene in which Viz mimicked Thor and created one for himself. From this point onwards, he travels across the galaxy Independence Daying everything, and his first stop is Asgard.
He's an
There's a
Independence Day
shot
and
in here
everything.
that I think could be a reference to Alien Covenant, namely the Ozymandias scene in which David arrives on the engineer's home planet and completely destroys it. Next, he travels to the
It's a good catch, if that is.
which is where we see the events from the opening of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah.
Originally, that was quite a fun scene packed with Baby Groot dancing, but here it's absolutely devastating. We watch as he travels to Sakaar and see the midst of a gladiator battle and get not only an appearance by Korg, but also the Grand Master. Now, the Grand Master's smile has been completely wiped off his face, and he dies in a manner that looks very similar to Laura's death at the beginning of Man of Steel. Yes, I know it's DC and not Marvel, I'm just saying. Now, Ego gets his shut down as the planet is annihilated and the Xandarians are decimated. Captain Marvel arrives and calls him Skynet, which is of course a nod to the AI from Terminator.
Basically.
He says she doesn't think that film needs a sequel, and this is because she had left Earth when Terminator 2 was made, so she wouldn't know it existed. Maybe she was right though, yeah, because some of those Terminator sequels, not very good. Now, Carol flies him into the planet's core, and though she almost destroys him, Ultron bests her with a combined might of the Infinity Stones. Destroying her completely ravages the galaxy, and it is possible that this explosion happens because Carol herself has powers which come from an Infinity Stone. The combined might of this destroys life as we know it, except for on Earth weirdly, but rather than finding joy in completing his task, much like Thanos, there is some sadness to it. The work is done, but it has robbed him of his purpose.
It was crazy.
And because of the silence in the universe, he's able to attain another level of consciousness, which allows him to witness the Watcher. This alerts him to the fact that there are universes, and it just continues his path of genocide. Now, the Watcher has been a character that's appeared in all of the episodes so far, and throughout our videos we theorized that he was going to be the one that pulled all of the heroes together for the finale. Throughout the series, you might have noticed that he's been getting closer and closer and closer every single time. First, he started off as just a silhouette amongst the stars, but as the episodes have gone on, we've started to be able to see the actual details in his face. Because he was close up and personal in episode 5, and then took a big step back for 6 before going even further back for 7, we did theorize that the leaks were true and that the order of 5 and 7 had been switched. If we look at them in the leaked order, I think it does line up, and it is possible that the creative team swapped the episodes, so we got the tease of Ultron last week. Now, for me, the way they've done it works a lot better than what
that's a
we
good
had in
catch.
the
I
leaks,
wasn't thinking about that.
though we'll probably never know for definite if that's what happened, I do think that the leaked episode lineup was indeed true. And that's because I'm never ever gonna admit I'm wrong. I'm never admitting it. Never!
Never!
Now we join up with Widow and Hawkeye once more, and they travel into the file storage center of the Kremlin. Hawkeye asks if Nat has seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, and this shot is very similar to the one at the end of that movie.
I was thinking the same thing when he asked that question.
Feeling we're being watched, but alas, they get down to the busy work and attempt to go through the files one by one. Within them, Widow finds Red Guardian's shield, and she ends up taking it. The Watcher also gets a bit bored and frustrated, like when you watch a friend play a video game and he starts shouting out that the key lies with Arnim Zola, who has of course appeared in the MCU at several points. In The Winter Soldier, we learn that he became an AI after uploading his brain to data banks below Camp Lehigh. He's the only thing that can really combat Ultron, and we learn that there's a copy of him at a Hydra base in Siberia. Now, because of this, it is possible that he still exists in the MCU.
I think he still does.
Dun, 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 I'm going to say Zola is still alive.
Yeah.
Now,
I definitely think he
love to
does.
see him back in the Marvel Universe, especially if they gave him his robot body from the comics. And this does sort of highlight that there is a way to bring him back. Now, he does get somewhat of a robot body later on in the episode, but hopefully this isn't the last time that we've seen him, and yeah, just bring the guy back. Now, the Watcher weighs up whether to intervene, as this would of course have disastrous consequences.
The Watcher was really close in this scene.
And it is possible that this just causes more breaks in the multiverse.
He was so close, he almost pushed the box for them to find information. Yeah, right there.
The Death Star plans are not in the main computer, and this line is pulled verbatim from the opening of A New Hope when a stormtrooper said it to Darth Vader. Clint has given up hope, but the location to Zola is found by Nat, and they head out to the base. This base in Siberia was also the location that we saw at the start of Civil War, and it's where the Winter Soldier program operated out of. Unfortunately, at this point, Ultron breaks through the multiversal barrier, and he states that destroying this is his purpose, which may be a nod to Agent Smith, who said the phrase repeatedly in the Matrix trilogy. In the hub, they find the Winter Soldier tanks that were used to house the other agents, and as we saw in that film, Zemo killed them all. They activate Zola, who states their names upon greeting them, and this is similar to what he did in The Winter Soldier. You might also notice that the instructions to activate him are in Russian, whereas in America they were in English.
Yeah.
He goes to rattle the speech off that he gave in that movie, but Nat shuts it down after saying that she's already met a copy of him. Hawkeye threatens to Wicked Witch of the West him and pour water all over his computer, and thus he agrees to their demands. They call in the cavalry and order a pizza from Ultron, which alerts them to their presence.
I thought that was
It
kind of
only
funny.
takes a couple of minutes for them to deliver it, and I tell you what, Peter Parker, he's not going to be happy about that. Now, Hawkeye uses a USB-type arrow, and the character also had something similar in the Avengers when he launched his attack on the helicarrier. This idea of uploading a virus to Ultron actually pulls directly from the comics, as in Age of, Wolverine travelled into the past and told Hank to put one in place so that should the day come when Ultron goes wild, that they'd have a way to stop him. Zola says Ultron isn't the first genocidal maniac he's had to deal with, and this is of course not only a nod to Hitler, but also the Red Skull.
Red
They
Skull.
destroy the databanks and fire an arrow into his sentry, which allows Zola to infect it. They then travel into a similar rocket area to what Tony, Cap and Bucky fought in during Civil War, and it leads to a great action scene in which they go head to head with the horde of Ultron bots intent on their destruction. In a reverse of Avengers
Yeah,
Endgame,
this
Clint
was
is
the
one who
scene.
ends up falling instead of Widow, and the pair holding onto each other's arms, I think, is definitely put in place to
Yeah.
mirror the scene in which Nat dies. In a reverse of it, Clint is the one who sacrifices himself, and we learn that because Ultron has travelled into the multiverse, that Zola is unable to disable him. On the outside of reality, he and the Watcher go head to head across the landscape of the multiverse, which does look similar to the area that we saw in the Hyundai ad that I'll talk about later on.
Yes,
Uatu
it does.
manifests his own armor, and the two battle it out, which not only shows how powerful the latter is, but also how powerful that Ultron now is. Because of the Infinity Stones, he's able to destroy any reality at will.
That
and
looked
we
like
watch as they
Galactus.
travel from universe to universe. You might notice that the guy from last week who had pineapples on his shirt is back, and it seems like his destiny is to be at the forefront of every alien invasion. On a Times Square billboard, we can actually catch Steve in the background being sworn in as the president, and this is one of the best Easter eggs I think has been in the show so far. As Ultron punches him, reality warps around them, and we watch as the onlookers transform into Wakandans before they become people from the Middle Ages and also Skrulls. It really sets up Infinite Ultron as the most dangerous threat in the entire multiverse, and it's difficult to think if we've encountered someone worse than this. Cut to the Watcher going to Strange Supreme's home, in which he too destroyed reality. We see him.
Now, my question is, when the multiverse kind of washes over the people and they become Wakandans, we know there's a Black Panther 2 movie coming, and then when it washes over and it changes them into, where's it at?
His arms, I think, is
But when it
definitely
washes
put in
over
place
and
to
changes
mirror
into
the
the
scene in
shapeshifters,
which
we
Nat
know they're
dies.
coming too.
In a reverse of it,
But
Clint is the one who
is the
sacrifices himself, and we learn that because Ultron has traveled
is like
into
the Middle
multiverse,
Ages just a
that Zola
random
is unable to
thing,
disable
or
him.
is it
On the
pointing
outside of
to
reality,
a
he and the
story,
Watcher
maybe
go
possibly the
head-to-head across
Eternals?
the landscape of the multiverse, which does look similar to the area that we saw in the Hyundai ad that I'll talk about later on. Uatu manifests his own armor, and the two battle it out, which not only shows how powerful the latter is, but also how powerful that Ultron now is. Because of the Infinity Stones, he's able to destroy any reality at will, and we watch as they travel.
So, did this look like Galactus to anybody, or resemble like the idea behind Galactus, the planet eater? You know what I'm saying? Even though he's eating not only a planet but an entire cosmos at one time, or is it just me?
From universe to universe. You might notice that the guy from last week who had pineapples on his shirt is back, and it seems like his destiny is to be at the forefront of every alien invasion. On a Times Square billboard, we can actually catch Steve in the background being sworn in as the president, and this is one of the best Easter eggs I think has been in the show so far. As Ultron punches him, reality warps around them, and we watch as the onlookers transform into Wakandans
Black Panther
before they
2,
become people from the Middle Ages and also
Eternals,
Skrulls.
and
It
then
really
Secret
sets up
Wars,
Infinite
Secret
Ultron
Avengers.
as
I mean,
the most dangerous threat in the entire multiverse, and it's difficult to think if we've encountered someone worse than this.
now also too, my thought was after Ultron, I thought he wasn't gone either. I think he was just scattered, like broken up. Like you have if a virus gets into your computer and it scrambles all your stuff and takes your information. When you try to redo it, it's bits and pieces, so you have to restructure. So you have to reboot it to start it over and update the new information. So I wonder if Ultron is scattered amongst the universe
Cut to the Watcher going to Strange Supreme's
in media
home,
form,
in which
basically,
he
in
too
the
destroys
internet.
reality. We see him in his beast form, but he does turn back into a human in order to talk to Uatu. He's as arrogant as ever, and he rubs it in the Watcher's face that he's gonna have to break his oath. Similar to the Watcher, Strange took an oath, namely the Hippocratic one, in which he said he'd never take a life.
Mm-hmm.
However, this version ended up breaking that, and they do share some common ground, and you know, Uatu do what Uatu do.
He wanted to do
So
what
bad. Sorry, I was just interjecting that. I was going to do a you do what to break your oath, but let's be honest, both those puns are as bad as each other. Now, he asks for help, yeah?
That's
and
funny.
we close out in a similar manner to what we did in the Strange Supreme episode, with us seeing his gem-like reality. Now, as for next time, there has been a lot of the finale that's been shown in the trailers. Weirdly, there's actually more out on that episode than there was in advance for this one, and we will of course be getting a massive team up with all of the heroes from across the series. Marvel are so smart in the way that they do team ups, and they've kind of done What If in the exact same way that they did the Avengers.
They really did
standalone stories that gave us all of the origins of the characters, but we now know that they're going to team up, and it just allows us to hit the ground running next week. Now, so far in the sneak peeks and first looks, we've seen several meetings, including Captain Carter coming face to face with Strange Supreme. There was also him meeting with Thor, and the latter talked about zombies, which of course ties in with episode 5. There's been 2 big team-up shots shown in the trailers, and this included Black Widow, Captain Carter, Thanora, and Party Thor. The pan is pretty quick on it in the trailers, but we can also catch T'Challa standing there as well. Also,
I like how he said T'Challa.
The Union Jack on her chest appears silver, much in the same way that Cap's star does too. Don't it make you bloody proud to be British?
Oh, that was a sad moment in Doctor Who.
In his Black Panther costume, Thanora again, this time a better view of T'Challa, and lastly Party Thor. So yeah, the trailers spoiled it all before I even had a chance to. You might also remember that there was a Hyundai ad in which several of the characters from the series fought against Ultron bots, and this is probably going to be similar to what we see in the final episode, with the amazing new Hyundai hopefully making an appearance. Available now, go buy one. Now in that ad, the Watcher also used his powers, and I have a theory that his interfering to stop this big threat actually causes the multiverse to split even more, and that this sets up season 2.
I think so too.
There was also a clip in the first trailer in which Party Thor said slow down, as there's people in the room that don't understand what you're saying. Though he said it wasn't him, and he got the gist of it, he was clearly talking about himself because, yeah, the guy's a bit dim. No offense if he's watching this, which he probably is, he's a big fan. Now, not only does this kind of show the over-the-top arrogance and vanity that this version of Thor has, but it also lets us know that something quite complicated is being explained to a room full of people. My guess is that this is either the Watcher or Strange Supreme going over the multiverse to the heroes that have been pulled across. They'll probably be explaining this major new threat, and it's all just going over Thor's head. Now this will probably be early on in the episode, I imagine, and it'll help to get the heroes up to speed before they go into a big fight. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, and because they're multiversal versions, there might even be a couple of deaths.
Yeah.
There's also a shot in which Pepper and a young Shuri were fighting in what I believe is Wakanda, as well as one of Ego holding Quill up in the air to drain his powers. This makes me think that we might also get some parts early on in the episode in which we learn about what happened in the cliffhangers in the series.
Yeah.
The Char-Lord fighting across the
that makes sense.
And not being there to stop Ego could lead to that reality being destroyed, but yeah, we're just gonna have to see. Now for the next part of the video, I'm going to be giving a brief review and then going into the Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene details that I've been told. I will give you a heads up before then though, in case you want to dive out the video without having anything ruined. Now, as
we
for
may
my thoughts
skip
on the
that
episode,
part.
I know this was another pretty depressing one, but if you've been keeping up with our reviews, then you'll know Dem's our favourite. For me, this is one of the best
the Deep episodes have been the best.
Series, if not the best. And I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the Strange Supreme one and Zombies along.
The Thor one was fun though. It was a fun episode.
It also answers a big criticism that people have with the show, which is that everything feels disjointed. As I mentioned, Marvel are just sticking to the strategy of letting us get to know the characters before they bring them all together, and it's nice that we now know that this is where they're taking things. It looks like they're doing the same thing with either the Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts, and it just works really well in my opinion. The finale will be way better because
Also,
we've
the
had
West
this
Coast
setup,
Avengers.
and I actually think that the series will work really well on rewatches because they've took the time to lay the groundwork. Anyway, great little depressing episode, which is always fun for me. Now, as for the Venom leaks, full spoilers ahead,
Okay.
and there'll be carnage in the comments if I don't.
I think we're going to do that in a separate video. I don't want to put that with this. That, to me, doesn't. I know what he's doing for, because he's trying to get information out there. Anyways, honestly, I thought the episode was pretty good. I thought it was cool and clever how the more power Ultron was receiving, pretty much how the more he could hear the Watcher. Just like with Strange, the stronger Strange was getting, the more he can hear the Watcher as well. Like that, that moment he was like, "Who's out there? Who's talking?" You know what I'm saying? But this episode was actually really good. It was great. It was really good, deep world bending for the MCU as a whole. I'm hoping that the last episode is longer than 30 minutes. It would be nice if we got a good 45-minute or a 50-minute episode to give us like a mini movie. I don't know if they'll do that just because of how the others have been. The other TV shows have kind of stuck to a blueprint. But I'm hoping with this one, because they can do so much more as far as giving us characters that we know don't technically exist in the main MCU, but also tell us a storyline. And that storyline could give us something else. Now, in the live stream we did last night when we watched it, there was a lot of questions about who we think we might see. Do we think we might see any new characters, i.e. the Eternals or, X-Men or anything? Because, Wolverine was part of the Ultron story. And a lot of the people that were watching were actually really happy that this was kind of mimicking the original comic, like they said in the Heavy Spoiler said. But I don't think we're going to get anything like that because, to me, I don't think they'll want to spoil those characters' introduction on the big screen by providing them in cartoon version first, even if it's a multi version of them. I don't see it happening. That doesn't mean it will never happen. It's just I don't think that would be a smart route to go, personally. But regardless, it will still be like a shocking, cool moment to see if we saw that. Now, the way Ultron dispenses Thanos, I was just like, damn. He just zapped him really quick and split him in half. I was like, well, that's definitely a way to get rid of him. And the one thing I have liked about What If has gotten rid of people the way we think it should happen. And I think because it's a cartoon or it's animation, that they can get away with it without changing the ratings. You know what I'm saying? Because if they did it in the big screen, like how Thor towards the end finally cut Thanos' head off, you know what I'm saying? We know that, I guess if people haven't seen it, let me put that up there, just in case you haven't seen some of these movies. We know that movie, took it up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So it took up the rating. So everything affects the rating in the US. There's a group of like 8 people that watch these movies that give ratings, and those ratings can destroy your potential financial outcome, or it can make it greater than anything you've ever seen. So it can give you a true windfall. But let me know what you thought about this episode. If you really enjoyed it or if you didn't like it, let me know down in the comments. I'll put a link in the description for Heavy Spoilers so you can see their information. Like I said, we're going to do a little reaction towards the information for Venom right after this. So let me know about what you think about that. Thoughts on how do you think the episode's going to end? Who do you think is going to perish or meet their maker in the last episode? And how do you think this is going to affect the actual multiverse of the current MCU? So, I know that's a lot, but still, this is a good video. I really enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the reaction as well. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel. Thank you so much for those who came by last night for the live stream. It was fun. We had a lot of conversation, a lot of really good MCU conversation, and this was probably one of the better streams of the entire season. You know what I'm saying? The zombie stream was really good, and then this one we had probably the most conversation. Like that was central around Marvel characters in the MCU. A lot of times we kind of get off base and talk about many other things, which is okay, and I don't mind that. It's perfectly fine for what we're doing. Yeah. So, but let me know what you think about the story. Let me know what you think about these, these Easter eggs and breakdown. And also how he explained the ending of the series of that episode. Like I said, we will do a reaction for the ending explained for Venom after this. But let me know how you feel about everything that we've seen so far. And like I said, the main thing is just let me know if you like what you see as far as the What If series, and will you be watching What If season 2? Because I for sure will. Hope you have a wonderful day, night, evening, morning, noon, wherever you are in the world today. My name is Nonpfixion. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and subscribe, notification bell, and hit that like button. If you like what you see, share the video, pass it around, pass it to your friends and family, especially if you got a group of friends that you guys really talk about this stuff. Share the video. Appreciate you. I love you. Hope you have a great one. Have a great Wednesday. Appreciate you. Love you. We out, you guys. Also, links in the description for Instagram, Twitter, and my actual Discord. So, catch you on the next one. Peace.